shelter, I like to call it housing initiative for our people of Maui to be able to sustain our time period to start the rebuilding process after we've fully responded. And we are still in response mode right now, as I just came into awareness that the fires in upcountry have reignited. And this has been an ongoing thing. We're in day 10 of this. What's happened on Maui, in my opinion, as a professional firefighter, is there's been a lot of mistakes, if you will. Most of them I would imagine are unintentional, but rather the circumstances. Upcountry, for instance, as a firefighter, this is one of the hardest terrains to be able to fight fire in because of the amount of fuel in forest and the dryness. There's a lot of wood to burn. There's also a lot of debris down in the gulches of generations of Apollo or trash that has been dumped into our gulches, and that being on fire and really hard to put out because it continues to smolder and then reignites. And the ability to gain access to this area is very challenging to do with any kind of heavy equipment. So it's basically just sheer courage amongst our brothers and sisters willing to go out there and risk their bodies to go in and support the firefight happening in upcountry. In terms of Lahaina is our historic, one of our last frontiers of old Hawaii. So it's carrying that energy of our ancestors, our kapuna, our iwi kapuna, and many of the, I say, the cultural sacred sites that not only have been burnt down, but that also, when it comes to the overhaul, is what we call in firefighting, and after we salvage and go through all of our account and looking for any more lost ones, any more surviving presence of life and property, and starting to mitigate and really get a feel for the scale of what's taking place. It's absolutely tragic what's taking place, and so we want to just use this time to really come into that awareness of both the devastation, so that we can think about what's happened and how we can rebuild and make sure that we're not rebuilding the same way that we have in the past. The Lahaina fires had many factors, I would say, that contributed to the level of devastation. High winds from Hurricane Dora that was 500, maybe more miles away. We had 80, 90 mile an hour winds, which is unusual. We have a alarm system here for hurricane, tsunami, any massive inclement weather. It was actually systems that were left over from World War II. Those systems are tested on a monthly basis on the first of every month. Those systems were operational, tested correct on the 1st of August, and a week later those systems failed. So our Ohana, our family in Lahaina, had no prior warnings around this winds, and then those winds pushed over power lines sparked fire, and the fuel was already there. So with those winds and that, it created a recipe for disaster. Our old Lahaina district is old construction, and everything, the neighborhoods, our businesses are all stacked one on top of another, which makes it very difficult to have any defensible space as a fire department. And just as our alarm systems didn't go off, our fire suppression systems were also inadequate in terms of the level of pressure, PSI, that's needed to be able to have a successful attack of the fire, to do it safely in a manner. And so these fires moved very rapidly through the city of Lahaina, the town of Lahaina, the district of Lahaina, this area. And to add to that, we've also not seen, in my professional opinion, the level of response needed for the scale of this fire. The amount of responsiveness has been very low with everything considered. And this is something that I continue to look into and investigate around where is our support from levels of government and aid in that respect. And then to bring it back and swing it back into, once again, just this positivity of how our community of Maui strong, Lahaina strong, Lahaina stronger. As one of my dear sisters, Athena, whose picture in front of her laboratory or art laboratory, she was sharing in one of her interviews is Lahaina stronger. And this community is so resilient. We are all coming together and we're all rising up, and we can see through this fire that it has actually been a massive transformation and transmutation of old programs within ourselves as a community, both locally and globally, as letting go of anything that is no longer serving any way, any separation, any divisiveness, anything that is keeping us from really remembering who we are and that we are all one family. And this family, this ohana, this world has responded in such a way on a people's level. And that's where our power is. Power is within ourselves, and we can actually bring every bit of what we need to supply the needs for our community, for those families that have lost loved ones, that have lost their homes, their cars, their priceless or pieces of artifacts, property. You know, as a firefighter, it's one of the things that we're taught that after we get these, make sure that everybody is safe and sound, then we go ahead and take care and make sure that we're able to bring out as much of the things that are irreplaceable that people keep. I want to check in, and now because this is to fill in some of the ways where we're looking for Mystic and bringing her on. Maybe I'll hear, get a message when we're ready to shift over into that. I want to tell some more story about what's happened down at we call HHHQ, our headquarters for Hungry Heroes Hawaii, for Aloha Response Team, and coordinated efforts with many other organizations where we are at the front gates, the funnel and access point, the most tactical access point to getting over to the west side and being able to respond in the best way that we can. We've been setting up essentially a camp, a headquarters with space for healing, space for media, so that we can support our family with the ability to share their stories and to get out the message and broadcast what's really going on. Because once again, some of the misinformation is being placed out there, even with us who are on the ground level. And some of the stories that are out there, to share a bit around that, is that there's a what do you call it? Sometimes they call it a firefight, but it's not in that standpoint, but basically a gunfight between Marines and FEMA. And that is not at all happening. There hasn't been any kind of violence or any aspect of war happening, but rather the opposite. It's been nothing but peace. It's been pure aloha. There's been a lot of sadness, of course, and grieving and desperation and all the things you can imagine in something as this tragic. And at the same time, the resilience of the people and their love and the perpetuation of this culture and this aloha is what is alive, and that's what's in these streets, and that's what's in our initiatives and directives right now. And our community is coming together in ways that I have never seen or experienced in my life as a firefighter, as a humanitarian, as an environmental protector, internal, externally, and to be in service to all sentient life. And this is a great call. This is a massive call for us to come together. I believe Hawaiian and in this situation, Maui has a wonderful opportunity right now to be a beacon of light, be a lighthouse, and have a worldwide effect of showing how we can rebuild regeneratively and sustainably in right relations with Mama Gaia, with the Lahaina. We can come into right relations with all the elements, and right relations with the plant nation and animal nations, star nations. Come in right relations with all that is. And show that right now we are part of that circle, and not a part of the circle of life, but we are actually in the circle with everything. We have all of the innovative technology that we can imagine right now, and it's ready to deploy, and it's time to implement all of this, because as we're looking around on the news and we're checking in, we have fires happening all over the world. Fire is a destructive force, and it is a force of transformation. So I ask in this time, as we come together and unite in peace and love, and unity and sovereignty, that we hold these visions and we stay in looking into 7 generations of honoring what has come before us and what has come after us, and to keep our eyes and our focus on the future by being present here and now. We're going to go ahead and shift on over and move to some more videos, and I may share in that field some of that coming across. That song by Brother Is, it was played. It's just a great way to really feel into it. And now let's come into some beautiful positive vibes and hope for Maui. Ready to boom!
Ready to sing?
Alu, Iku, Ono, Lima, Ha, Koru, Lua, Kahi. Kuha'aheo,
As I travel from place to place,
some familiar, some are strange.
to hear the ancient chanting of our home. As I listen to the stories,
My eyes have seen the glory.
so let us raise our voice in song to save our land.
Stands together in song and forever to raise our voices and hold the banners high. We shall stand as a nation to guide the destiny of our generation, to sing and praise the glory of our land. Iloko na hale apo hakua poia na hana hile
Wai pipi iwa pauli uli oi ipo e
na kukanua kakuna e awa ukana
Yone kani ono hili hano hano o hanale
From the fiery pit of Tutupere, I hear my mother's call.
O tutu kane mauna kia send their love to all, to stand as one beneath the sun. Blessings from Hawaiian and our sweet mama and Maui, where the greatest waters fall.
All Hawaii stands together. It is now and forever to raise our voices and hold our banners high. We shall stand as a nation, united.
generations sing and praise the glory of our land.